Hello, everyone. Welcome to Study Hall. It is I, Aged Boomer, and this is my co-host.
Yeah, co-hoist is just fine. I'm good with that.
Let me turn down my volume. Okay, PaPa Pacelli, and
How you
this
doing?
is Study Hall, and
Yes, it is.
I'm wearing my headphones the opposite way tonight. So we'll see. Can you hear me? Okay.
Is that some sort of political statement? Doing the opposite or something?
I don't know. We're not, politics. I don't know why you'd even be thinking about politics lately.
Jeez,
Okay.
yeah, of course. Well,
Any-
this is my opportunity to say all of you people that thought that New Year's was going to change anything. We were leaving 2020 behind and everything was going to be sunshine and flipping roses in 2021. Yeah, life doesn't work that way, people. I'm 50 years old now. That makes me wise. I know this stuff.
Anyway, we're gonna have a nice time tonight. Okay. Anyway, let's see. So who do we have? Hold on. Give me a minute.
I started saying hi to people and then I got distracted by the pre-show. So I think we got Auditor Dread, Melissa Harris, and Wolf 10 Media. Ooh, those are our first voices in the stream. Then of course Netter from Netter's Network. Hey, how you doing?
Hi,
I'm waving right at her.
I was gonna say you're all canceled.
Yeah, right.
Everyone and everything is canceled. That's the theme of tonight's show.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I'm trying to get to the YouTube so I can see the YouTube on here as well. We just came back from recording a sort of a pre-show for Rumble. Okay.
Yeah, it was Netter's idea in a way. She pointed out that, we would start, in StreamYards, me and Boomer would start chatting, kind of getting ready for the show. And she'd be like, you guys are talking about all kinds of good stuff that would be really, really good, in the stream. You guys should be, doing that live. So Boomer said, maybe what we ought to do is just record that backstage talk and we'll put it up on where are you putting it? On Rumble?
Yes, I'm going to try and put a couple videos on Rumble because, as you know, some people are trying to find alternate options to certain social media forms and even streaming sites. And I've already been putting videos on Rumble as it is, but I wanted to put a couple of exclusive videos on there because I think they treat you a little better if you give them absolute rights to what you put up there.
Yeah.
And frankly, if we cover the same talking points at some point in tonight's stream, that's okay because it's not going to be exactly the same. Do you understand?
Right.
It's just I don't want to then cut a piece out of the stream, say this is Rumble exclusive, but the whole stream is still up on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's technically not Rumble exclusive. So We're going to try it out. I'm going to see how it goes.
And just for the benefit of all of you guys here, if you really do like what Aged Boomer does on this show, and you want more of it, go check out his Rumble channel because you can get our pre-show and hear what we're talking about in advance. We're probably going to refer to things that we talked about in the pre-show that you won't know about unless you go and check it out over on Rumble. So
exactly.
Definitely do that. Plus, you go over to Rumble, you'll also find the repostings of these shows. So you're not really missing anything if you just want to hang out there.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm not putting my eggs all in one basket so far because we're going to see how 2021 plays out.
Diversify, my friend.
I'm
That's
diversifying.
been the financial advice for the ages.
I'm not on BitChute yet. Of course, I've always had issues with the way that just the interface on that site.
You got to be careful when you say BitChute.
Oh, am I already? Am I going to get yanked?
Algorithm wrong.
I'm gonna get yanked from the stream. I'm going to get yanked from YouTube already.
If you've been sipping on something that gets you slurring, and you say BitChute, someone might misunderstand that.
All right.
What are you sipping on?
I have a Arnold Palmer. Listen to that pour.
And Arnold Palmer. It sounds like you're having something really sophisticated. It's really just lemonade and iced tea.
No, it's in a can. You get it at the store, buy one, get one. Okay.
Hey, Boomer, do you ever watch the YouTuber Viva Fry?
That sounds familiar to me.
Viva Fry is a Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and he does a lot of commentaries on U.S. and Canadian law from the point of view of a lawyer, but he kind of, explains it for the average person, right?
It's not Ricketti law, right?
No, somebody
Okay,
else
all right.
entirely.
Okay.
He always tried to be very middle of the road, but it's very clear he's pretty conservative, and
Right.
he has taken up partnership with Robert Barnes here in the States, a U.S. lawyer, and they do a show literally that goes right up into our show. So I'll listen to it until I have to jump on with you, and I can't help but feel like from a legal political point of view, their show is so much like you and I in the geek culture. If you were the Viva Fry of our channel and I was the Robert Barnes of our channel, just how I feel about it. Check out one of their streams and see if you don't see it yourself.
Oh, back to the drawing board makes a point that Rakita has had Viva Fry on as a guest at least once. He says so. Okay, so they must know each other. Okay.
Oh yeah, and they refer to. In fact, they have every now and again they'll have streams with other attorneys or YouTubers that talk law and stuff, and sometimes not even the best ones are the ones that they don't really agree with politically, so they can have a little bit of debate. But what's nice is they're usually pretty civil. And
that's good.
Oh yeah. I mean, and because these are pretty reasonable guys, and they're able to say, look, even though I don't agree with you, I get your point and I respect it, and then sometimes, surprises, you'll hear someone go, you know what? I didn't agree with you, but I've really listened and I've really looked at it. And you know what? I think you're right, and everyone will be shocked, except for Robert Barnes, who goes, of course I'm right. Which is exactly what you'd expect me to say, right?
Exactly. Well, yes.
See,
how you talk to people too is also very important, right?
Exactly my point. Let's face it. I've been told this by many people, even people that don't like me. Okay, you always know where you stand with me. I got no poker face, so I'll never play poker with you. But you always know I'm being straight and honest with you. And if I'm mad at you, I'm mad at you. If I don't like you, I don't like you. And I never say anything about you behind your back that I wouldn't say or haven't already said to your face. So I think even people that don't like me can generally respect that about me.
Yeah. I do.
And that's also why I think I get so passionate when we do streams like this, right? I was surprised, even Sound Engraver, who I know she doesn't care for the language. She, I know that, but she's said many times she really loves the passion. She loves, hearing us talk about, these things on Sundays, which surprises me, that, for the fact that that would bother her, she can get past that because she sees that passion. She appreciates it. Yeah, how can people not like the Klingon? Well, Klingons can be pretty polarizing, right? I mean, there's no middle ground. You don't not have an opinion about Klingons. Either you really, really like them or you really, really don't. And that's pretty much how I am.
Brian Gavartin, a lot of people tend to shout people down and be very vulgar when they discuss controversial issues. When they call you an istophobe for not liking the latest crappy pop culture movie.
Okay, we're going to definitely be talking a great deal about that. We've definitely got that in our notes to talk about today.
We start about.
In fact, why don't we just jump right into it?
We're doing Wonder Woman, correct?
We'll start with Wonder Woman first. Sure.
Yeah. Patty Jenkins says, "Oh, well, I have an asterisk over her name." Okay, well, never mind. Okay, well,
you what? Wait, why do you have an asterisk?
I have a no, not an asterisk, a number sign.
It in the notes.
I typed it wrong.
I got it.
Okay, Patty Jenkins says, "No, I cut and pasted that. Something went wrong with the transfer." Okay, never mind. Patty Jenkins says Warner Brothers wanted her to cut an opening scene in Wonder Woman 1984. Read as proof it's all Jenkins' fault.
And now this article is going to come up, in the hashtag Y for some reason. You do a search for hashtag Y, you're going to find this article. Yeah. So last week I was and in fact, you just reposted that little segment where we were talking about how Wonder Woman 1984 wasn't doing really well. And I said, look, this is pretty much on Patty Jenkins' shoulders. Everyone was singing her praises as director for the first movie. Then they gave her writing. They assumed she had writing ability and let her write this movie too. And now everyone's ripping apart the writing. Just because you're a director doesn't mean you can write. Just because you're a producer does not mean that you can manage Lucasfilm. Just saying. And we've seen this time and time and time again. So I think this is an admission on her part in a way, because in an interview she said, yeah, the studio said we had these two completely different scenes in the opening. One, the little girl on Themyscira, cheating in a competition and learning you can't take the easy way in life if you want to win. And then there was this whole thing with stopping the robbery or whatever in the mall in 1984. And everybody is saying neither one of those scenes were really important. They didn't need to be there in a 2.5-hour movie,
Well, I have the quote. Okay.
Yeah.
It was not always written in. It was the success of the first film, but it was also something else. I think this is Patty Jenkins talking.
Yes.
I wouldn't have jammed it in there because of the success of the film, because it actually made the movie too long. We have 2 openings in our movie, and we would talk about it with the studio all the time, and they would say, you've got to cut the mall and the 80s, or you've got to cut the Amazon.
Right.
I was like, we can't cut either.
Yeah. And all the people that have seen it and reviewed it since then have said, you didn't need either of them, let alone both of them. And really, I mean, for everyone that has seen it and talked about it, they've said, why did we need either of those? Why did we need the Themyscira scene? Her argument, Patty Jenkins' argument, is we need to tie it back to the first movie.
Oh, yeah, I have that quote as well. You want to hear this? This is a gem, okay? At the end of the day, Jenkins got her way and was able to keep both scenes in the film. Jenkins felt like she needed to keep the Amazon scene in the film as it helps people who aren't particularly up to date in the world of DC Comics. She goes on to say, the reason I ended up realizing that you need the Amazon is because you do that thing where you're like, wait, you have to remember all the people that haven't seen the first Wonder Woman who watched this on a plane, and suddenly it's like, oh, it's super hard to understand who Diana is and what's going on without touching base here. And I have a question here. This is my own personal question. Why are you catering to someone watching your movie on a plane?
Yeah. Hey, dumbass. It's a sequel. If you don't expect that you needed to have seen the first movie before you see the sequel, then you're the dumbass that, saw the movie without seeing. This is what sequels are for. You're capitalizing on the success of the first one. You're writing it for the people that saw the first one. And especially these days, this isn't 1975 where if you didn't see Star Wars, you need an explanation so that you'll understand Empire Strikes Back. Okay. You have it on streaming service. You have it on download. You can buy the damn DVD. And that's what Warner Brothers wants you to do. They want you to spend the money before you go see the second movie.
It's funny. Back to the drawing board has an interesting quote. I wonder if those scenes didn't get cut because they could get away with longer openings because it was going to streaming. And as soon as I saw his comment, I was like, well, why didn't they just save that and add them in as a bonus for you getting it on HBO Max? And I was like, wait a minute, it's going to streaming now. It's like I'm still not accepting the fact that
so back to the drawing board, you make a decent point that is possible. However, I would argue that that's a misunderstanding of your audience. Then I think a lot of people are struggling with it being 2.5 hours because they don't expect one of these. This isn't Endgame. Okay. This isn't some big this is just one-off superhero movie. They don't want it to be more than 2 hours. They got to get up and make their popcorn and go pee and, put the baby to bed. And, we got, especially now that we're in our homes, we got stuff going on. It's like, we just want to watch it and be done with it. We don't want to invest in Gone with the Wind or the 10 Commandments here.
Why are these movies so long? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Because these writers don't know how to write. These directors and editors don't know how to direct and edit. Tell a story, beginning, middle, and done.
I
And if you're
remember.
going to set up a sequel, set up a sequel. Quit screwing around with your, auteur, artsy crap. This is not, Shakespeare. This is Wonder Woman, for crying out loud. And this is a sequel to Wonder Woman. People saw the first one. And if they didn't, they have every opportunity to see it, especially since it's not like you just bought the tickets and you get halfway into the movie and you go, crap, I don't understand what's happening. Guess what? You can hit pause and then skip over to rent the first one, watch that, and then hit play again.
Well, not only that, if you have HBO Max, this is going to sound like a dumb question. I would assume the first Wonder Woman is on there.
I think so.
Okay, unless that's like a TNT exclusive for $5. I don't know. We'll get to that later anyway.
Calm down, Troy. You're not a young man anymore. Think I'm going to have a grabber? Hey, that could bring us some ratings too. Hey, listen to a guy have a heart attack talking about Wonder Woman. Well, I guess I could have a heart attack talking about Wonder Woman, but it'd be more likely to be about Linda Carter than it is about, anything Patty Jenkins does.
Wolf 10 says, I've been saying this in 2 of my streams. The people are not writers. Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, especially Patty Jenkins. I don't know how much experience she has. I mean, she did Monster, right? That one about the serial killer. I don't know if she wrote that. Of course, that was based on a real story anyway.
Well, that's just it. Again, I'm not saying she can't write. I'm saying she's not ready to write.
Well, I don't think
she needs to take a few classes and get a few other movies out there before she starts thinking she can write. Okay. And that's not because she's a woman. That's because that's how merit works. Okay. You got to pay your dues, and she hasn't yet.
Matthew Flynn says, I'm an okay artist. I think I'm better at small details. I have to say, when I would critique other people's writings, especially in college, it would tend to be going after the small details more than the big picture. So, I mean, that's certainly not a bad thing to do, Matthew.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? I'm trying to think though. What else was brought up here? I want to see this movie. I made a point. I want to see this.
It is
I want to see how bad it is. The whole thing with the mall scene. I want to bring that up. I'm taking it that the mall scene is Diana Prince, Wonder Woman kicking bad guy butt, right?
Kinda, yeah.
I'm hoping that's all it is. Okay, I'm because that's sort of what we want to see with Wonder Woman. She's like one of the 3 big in the DC universe, right? I want to see her kicking bad guy butt. I feel like they're not letting us see that. Okay,
do you really want to see Superman? Okay, let's take it out of Wonder Woman. Do you really want to see Superman stopping a robbery in a mall? Okay, I mean, this is not the opening of your second film. Okay, this is a little 30-second bit within a montage in Superman. We saw save the cat. We saw him stop the guys robbing the bank by bringing the whole boat in and dropping it in front of the
burglar falling off the building. He catches
burglar falling off and catches him. And this was not this long drawn out mall shot. So the fact that they did this with Wonder Woman is ridiculous to begin with. I don't know. And then, people are joking because, all they're doing is they're robbing, a mall, and one of them decides to grab a kid and hold the kid at gunpoint. I'm not going back to prison. So Wonder Woman's got to save the kid. And everybody's reaction is like terrible B film. Oh my gosh, that poor girl. Oh no, what are you doing? It's like, oh gosh. It's just terrible. And there is no excuse for this. There is no excuse for something that has been sitting on a shelf for a year. You should have been. The fact that the editing sucks and everyone's talking about the editing is not something where you need a bunch of people to be together during COVID. This is, why have you not been working on this over the past year? This should be tight. And it's not.
It's like you have a term paper due for a class, and then the teacher's out sick that week, and you get a whole other week to work on it, and you don't touch it.
Right.
Okay. Anyway.
And the teacher is going to think about that when she's doing the grading. And she's like, you had twice as long as you should have had. And this is what you give me? No.
Yeah.
You know.
Honor Dread says, "Do you? Oh, I do get a kick out of bad movies." He mentions Halle Berry's Catwoman. I need to see that.
No, you really don't.
I think I do. That Sharon Stone's the villain in that too, right? Okay.
It's not worth it. Oh no. Sharon Stone and Holly Berry both do much better movies where you can see much more of them. Okay. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Well, we'll. Uh. Yeah.
I remember when a buddy of mine at work told me that when it first came out, he said, "Yeah, I downloaded the film to watch it. Yeah, it wasn't worth the bandwidth." And I've never forgotten that line. I've used that many times since. It was not worth the bandwidth to download it.
The Catwoman. Okay.
That's bad.
So it was no Swordfish. Okay. All right.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. If you want to see Halle Berry, go see Swordfish. You want to see Sharon Stone see what was that movie?
Basic Instinct.
Basic Instinct. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. But moving on to other DC news. Let me grab this. Hold on. I am discombobulated tonight. This is the story that I'm finding the most interesting.
Really? Okay, go ahead.
Well, this is the Batman.
Yeah, I couldn't care less about Sparky Bats. But okay.
I am no, I am fascinated by this. I've been noticing when I cut and paste from
you got to learn how to cut and paste, Boomer.
No, these are like being mistranslated. Hold on a sec. You're looking forward to the Batman,
that's okay.
Right?
I'll kind of start giving a little primer on this.
Give a little primer, then I'm going to paste
this is another update about the sparkly bats. Here's another example, guys. I'm going to give you a little prediction here. This is going to go the same way as Wonder Woman. We're sitting on this thing. It's not getting done. They're dragging their feet and they're blaming COVID for it. And when we finally get it, we're expecting it to be something good because they've had so long to work on it, and it's going to be a bunch of crap. Just like Wonder Woman 84. That's what it's going to be. Everything that we've been seeing about it, they're not fixing a damn thing, and it's going to be a bunch of crap.
Well, wait a minute though. For I've heard but this is the Batman we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
This is what's interesting
Last
about
couple
this.
Batman features have not been all that great.
No,
has never been any good.
What? Well, yeah, I know there's disagreement in the community. I actually did enjoy the Nolan trilogy, but
I did too. But let's face it, it got worse and worse as it went. It started out good and got okay.
I like Dark Knight Rises. I know I'm gonna people arguing with me in this thing. I like, and I don't like Tom Hardy usually, but I liked him as Bane because I was like,
yeah, he was such a good villain.
I made the argument at the time. We got to my dad, I said we got Batman versus the Joker in the second movie. We got Batman versus Darth Vader in the third movie.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Yeah,
and there's another one. You want Batman versus Darth Vader? There's a better fan film out there. In fact, with two different endings.
I saw that. I saw one of them. Yes,
that is better movie than anything in the Nolan verse, in the Snyder verse, whatever you want to call it these days.
Okay, well, no. Anyway, I want to make a point though. There's some bad stuff going on this Batman set, and I make a comment that I think one day the movie about the making of the Batman will be a fascinating watch.
That would be nice to see. Yes, I think I would love to. We've gotten a lot of rumors, and it's kind of like getting a story, kind of seeing what's going on outside the cave based on the the light that's shining in on the cave walls. That's kind of what we're seeing with this, and. I don't know if we'll ever get to poke our heads out and actually see it.
We have two very big problems with this movie, so I'm going to be fascinated. A new report suggests that tensions continue to mount at the United Kingdom-based set of The Batman, as Robert Pattinson may be at wit's end concerning his working relationship with director Matt Reeves.
Guys, it is never a good sign when the people working on a project together can't get along. If you can't even get along with your coworkers, how the hell are you going to rally fans and viewers and, investors around you? I mean, I don't know. And you end up with people working at cross purposes, and, you end up with the island of Dr. Moreau is what you end up with.
Yeah. That gem. According to British tabloid The Sun, who described the director as a quote unquote control freak, Reeves has gone full Kubrick with his demands, which include regularly forcing Pattinson to do upwards of 50 takes inside the bulky Batman suit, leaving him and the crew exhausted.
Yeah. And when I read stuff like that and I hear stuff like that, I tend to be of the mind that, is that really the truth, or is it somewhere in the middle? You know,
I don't
the
know.
truth is usually somewhere in the middle. And you're telling me a director is a control freak? A director is a control freak. A director. What does director mean, dumbass?
Anyway, yeah, we don't know how much this.
Sure,
this
you're
is...
the actor. You're not in control here, unless you're a producer on the show. You know, and you're Tom Cruise or something like that. You are just the meat that is supposed to do what the director says. He says jump, you say how high and how many times. And if he says it 50 times, you effing do it 50 times.
Well, to be fair, I believe that Tom Cruise is also probably a producer on those movies.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Unless you're Tom Cruise and you are the one paying for that movie, you know what I'm saying? So he's the boss.
Yeah, and that's what I was normally thinking. Oh, these are people just whining, okay?
Yeah.
But I am finding this interesting. They also claim Reeves is paranoid after catching the beer bug. You know,
kind of can't blame him, right?
After Pattinson and others on the crew tested positive, it's got to the point now where he's been directing scenes while zipped inside a puffa coat or puffa coat and with ski goggles on, said the source. Supposedly, upon Pattinson's arrival to set, the actor was not in the super heroic physical shape required to play the Dark Knight.
Shocker! The same guy who said he wasn't going to work out for the role.
Anyway, and
you were told to do this, you didn't do it, and people are pissed at you. Shocker!
Anyway, an oversight which left Reeves aghast. As a result, the director sent Pattinson home and gave him 2 additional weeks to bulk up.
Yeah.
Though at the time the incident was reported as a rumor, the circumstances surrounding its unfolding are consistent with Pattinson's confession that he spent his summer barely doing anything while locked down inside his London apartment outside of frequent jogs he had been taking.
So this is going to become a running theme for the show, guys. Just warning you, and you personally, Agent Boomer, the phrase "what happens next" or "what do you think happens next" is going to come up a lot. Okay, so when you sign a contract and you're told you have this long to do this, we're hiring a trainer for you, you're going to bulk up, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and you go, nah. Okay, what do you think happens next when you show up on set and you look like, you know, a sparkly vampire? Okay. And then when it happens, you get pissed and blame Matt Reeves for being a control freak. No, he's not a control freak. You were told what to do, you didn't do it, and now you're being told to do it again, dumbass.
Okay, anyway, I have one last quote to give you, okay? The source he spoke to suggested Pattinson was being quite difficult to work with, which Tunnicliffe described as a very difficult situation as a director. Because I said, I hear you shut down due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they said, it's not the pandemic that shut us down, explained Tunnicliffe. Then I said, oh, is it something else? I said, is it your lead actor? And they were like, maybe. And then they laughed. Okay.
But you know what? Even if it is COVID, I'm sorry. I don't even know if you can say that on YouTube anymore. I don't know what you can and can't say anymore, for F's sake. Really, I don't know. I mean, and it can change tomorrow. You can have a video out there for 6 months, and then they decide, oh, you can't say the anymore.
That's why I'm saying if the stream disappears halfway through, you'll know why. Anyway,
and if it does, just find it over on Rumble. That's where it'll be. Guys.
Well, you can't stream on Rumble yet. That's one of the issues with Rumble at this point. They're working on it.
Saying if we lose it here,
we'll put it over there, and if not, I'll make a new thing up. Just stay tuned, okay? But anyway,
I also heard that Rumble is going to be providing streaming pretty soon. in the
Yes,
next couple months.
that's good, and it would be good if StreamYard got on board as well. But we'll see what happens in the future.
But so I'm going to refer back to the Tom Cruise thing too. I understand why he was upset about people not doing the distancing and the masks and I don't care what you think about that stuff. It's what we have to do in order to get these movies made in England. England has rules. In order to do things, you have to follow those rules. And the people that are paying the money to get these movies made expect you to follow those rules so that they can get their movie done. Blast it.
Movies are very expensive. Every minute counts. I don't know how much every minute on the set costs. Okay. And I'm also going to say that, California, they got rules too. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and, right now you have to abide by these things whether you like it or not. They're going to shut down your productions. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to think about how much over budget the Batman is running at this point.
I don't know. And that's the worst part of it, right? Because the more money you spend, the better you expect it to be. And that's not what we're getting. And that's why I'm saying they're on a collision course with the same kind of crap that Wonder Woman 1984. You can't keep these movies sitting in limbo all this time, and then when you finally release them, not have them be effing excellent. You're losing money on it no matter what happens.
Why did they
maximize your profits?
Why did they pick Pattinson over Holt? Nicholas Holt, I think, was the other actor they were considering, because he had been in the X-Men movies, and at least he has experience being in superhero movies, right?
You know what?
And
I don't know
they think
what these people are thinking. I think they're thinking, let's get the younger crowd in. He'll bring in the sparkly teenage girls or some crap like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but Holt was a young guy too. I mean, he wasn't. You know what? He wasn't in a young adult movie. But
yeah, maybe
that's what I was. I'm starting to think the cigar chomping executive is here thinking, well, he played a beast, but he played a vampire. And when I think of vampires, I think of bats. So he's perfect for Batman.
That does.
That's what I'm thinking. Okay.
But you know what? In a perfect world, it wouldn't matter, okay? Because he's an actor. His job is to act. So they should be able to hire anyone who looks moderately the right age, gender, and in the suit and say, okay, this is what we need you to be. This is who Bruce Wayne is. This is who Batman is. This is your motivation. And we need you to work out to get to this weight and be able to do these things. And the actor goes, I am your canvas. Absolutely, yes, sir.
Well, speaking of which, Auto makes a point. I feel the rumor true that Christian Bale would trash not Edward Pattinson, Robert Pattinson's life.
I think he's combining the.
Oh, I see. Edward Cullen. Yeah. Bale lost pounds and gained pounds for multiple roles. Yes, he did. I think before he did the Batman Begins, he did the Machinist.
Yeah,
you see him in that? He was like a skeleton. Okay,
yeah, look at these actors. Let's look at De Niro. Okay, look at what was it? Raging Bull, and what was the other one that he did? Cape Fear. I mean, they put on muscle, they put on fat, they gain weight, they lose weight. I know from experience, people, that those are not easy things to do. You have to have dedication and commitment. So you get this slacker kid who compares himself to James Dean, saying James Dean didn't have to work out. Well, James Dean came from a very different era, and he never played Batman.
Okay, I want to make a point too. He says he's alluding to the fact that James Dean did not work out. I'm sure he worked out for a man of his time with the equipment they had. I don't think he lied around the apartment all weekend to do anything. Okay.
Yeah, you're also comparing yourself to someone who did 3 movies and then ended up dead.
Yes.
So,
and plus he wasn't being a superhero.
Right.
I mean, back to the draw. I think Pattinson fits the modern brooding version of Batman to a T. It's a terrible version of the character, but he's perfect for it. Oh, geez, I don't even know what's going on in the comics these days, but I'm wondering.
I was going to say, sadly, that's not even going to translate into the movie. Unfortunately, it's what's happening behind the scenes, and that is not conducive to getting any movies made. I don't care what finally makes it to the screen.
I don't know. I remember when this news was still broke back in the old days of office hours, and I was horrified by this news. I actually got angry because I'm sorry, if you're playing a superhero, you have to be in tip-top shape.
Yeah.
And I think the woman playing Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz, was picking on
Yeah.
Pattinson, saying, I'm doing this I'm following with a strict regimen, and he's not doing anything.
Well, and that and she might be being humorous and whatnot publicly, but I think behind the scenes she's pissed. She's
Yeah.
like, "F you! I'm
Yes.
busting my ass, and you're not doing crap." You know, I again, I hate to be the one agreeing with the SJWs, but when the woman is working hard and the man is laying about, I'd be pissed too.
I don't understand that you're getting paid to work out. I'd like that job.
No
Okay.
kidding. This is what I have always said. You know, I see so many, and it's both men and women that do this. They're like, "Oh, I wish I could look like so and so. I wish I could look like so and so." Well, you know what? They got a job that pays them to look like that. And I'm not just saying that they're paid to look like that. So in their own free time, they have to make it happen. They have a trainer and dietitian that are paid for, and they literally work out 8 hours a day for weeks until they start filming.
Oh yeah, Leia Plus Size makes a great point. Hemsworth Evans both had to hit the gym when they became Thor and Steve Rogers. They said they had to get in shape. Yes.
Yeah, you didn't have Evans saying, "You know what, I'm playing this scrawny little kid, so I'm going to do as little as possible and just be as skinny as possible." No. He said, "You know, I'll do what you tell me to do." No, we need you to be the big muscular guy. Okay, I'm going to work out. You're going to have to CG the scrawny kid.
Well, we'll have Natalie Portman playing Thor soon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think she's going to work?
No, because you know what she's going to do? She's going to allow herself to waste away because, you know, Jane Foster, when she's not, you know, Lady Thor, is fighting cancer and going through chemo. At least if you're following the comics.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds like
when Jane Foster became Lady Thor in the comics, she was literally dying with from cancer. And what was the interesting story plot to it was when she picked up Mjolnir and became Thor, she wasn't dying from cancer anymore. So there's the temptation. Should I go back to being, you know, normal human where I continue to die, or should I just remain, you know, a goddess?
No. That's like on Battlestar Galactica when the president would get the blood transfusion from the one girl who was the hybrid child, right?
Oh yeah.
And then she stopped getting it, but it actually cured her cancer, I believe, right? Yeah, but anyway, I don't get it. But anyways,
well, but then if you're going to really do a nuanced storyline there,
well,
do
there
you
you go.
remain? Are you still worthy of Mjolnir if you make that decision? See?
Oh, good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so that could be some good story, but I don't think they're even going to bother with that. They're not even going to go with the cancer aspect.
I doubt they'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we move on to you had first?
Well, we're kind of not moving on. It kind of flows naturally here,
well, yeah,
right?
I want to make a point in the notes here. He'll have like different headlines, right? So we have DC, and then we have Marvel. This is DC/Marvel ?
Well, no, wait a minute. Back up. We still have one more for DC.
What's the one?
Ray
for
Fisher.
DC? That was for last week, wasn't it?
Read your notes, man. It says last week.
Oh, follow up.
And then follow up. Yes, I put last week there to remind you that we're going to be talking about something we talked about last week, but there's a follow up from last week. So last week we talked about the fact that Ray Fisher said he was done working with DC film president Walter Hamada. And my prediction was that's the end of his career. As soon as you say you're not working with somebody, a director, a producer, a boss, you may as well just kiss your career goodbye, because who the heck's going to work with you? Who do you think you are, Ray Fisher, that you're so important that you could go around saying stuff like that? Well, the follow-up is Ray Fisher reportedly no longer set to return as Cyborg.
You know
Surprise!
I saw the headline and I thought we covered this last week, and I realized no, we didn't. Okay.
That's why I put it in bold and underline last week and follow up.
Well, anyway, I am shocked by this news.
Nah, exactly. So, and what's happening is he's out there on the Twitterverse saying, I did not quit. I'm still playing Cyborg as far as I know. And everyone's going, dude, we're not quoting you. You are not playing Cyborg anymore. That character is not going to be in these movies. We've already heard this from the sources on that side of the aisle. They've fired you, dude. You don't even know it yet. You've been written out.
At the risk of sounding mean, was there a big demand to have Cyborg come back? I mean, he was part of an ensemble, right? Were they going to do Cyborg solo movies? Was this in the plan?
Good point. I don't remember them ever even talking about that idea. You're right. He was, I don't know, because I didn't see the Justice League movie. I did not care enough, but I assumed that Cyborg was kind of, sort of supposed to be like a viewer insert character. He's the junior member, you know, I'm guessing, coming in to see what it's all about.
I saw it. I don't know if I got that from it. It was
really,
he was connected to the whole, because I
mother box thing.
Yeah, the mother box thing. Yeah, but well, his dad was working. Maybe he was supposed to be the viewer insert character. I don't know.
Wow, that might actually be giving their writing staff too much credit too, that they would even think along those lines. But that's what it comes down to. Let's face it, Cyborg. Look, this has nothing to do with race. It doesn't. What it has to do with is where this character comes from. Okay, he was a Teen Titan. He was in there with all the sidekicks. And somewhere along the line, they decided to graduate him up to the Justice League. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually would not have a problem with them at some point making Robin a member of the Justice League. You know, he was the leader of the Teen Titans. Now he, you know, turns over leadership of the Titans to somebody else, and he becomes, Robin in his own right.
Nightwing.
As Nightwing, sure. Or whatever. Or even, Jason Todd as Red Robin or whatever. I don't know. Okay. I have no problem with them advancing characters that way. But just like they did with Suicide Squad, you don't care about villains becoming heroes if you didn't get to see them be villains in the first place. Same thing with Cyborg. You don't care much about Cyborg becoming a Justice League member when you didn't see him as the Teen Titan to begin with, and that's where most people, if you don't know him from Teen Titans in the comics, then you know him from Teen Titans in the cartoons, So anyone who even knows Cyborg is going, we're missing some story here, guys, Plus, these guys didn't get their own origin stories before you go into Justice League. So that's a mess there, too. So ultimately, yeah. Long story short.
They did his origin in the Batman versus Superman, where Bruce Wayne was looking on the video screen.
Like the origin of all the characters from Suicide Squad too. It's a flip book that you got to watch really quick, and catch it in the opening scroll, and you're supposed to suddenly start caring about these characters. Everybody else, you get a whole movie, or if you're Superman or Spider-Man, you get 12 and 15 movies where you keep retelling the origin over and over and over again. I don't know. So yeah, nobody cares about Cyborg. They don't. So congratulations. You just talked yourself out of any future movie going forward. He wasn't integral to the stories. Everybody's watching for Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, now maybe Aquaman and Captain Marvel. Other than that, nobody cares about any of those characters. Even Flash, nobody cares about. They only care about Flash because he's doing Flashpoint that directly ties together other characters.
Do you think they're going to use Flashpoint as an excuse to write out the Cyborg character?
Well, they've already said there is no mention of using Cyborg in Flashpoint. So he's already written out.
Okay.
But yes, they are planning to use Flashpoint specifically to reboot their universe. I'm hoping, if they have any intelligence whatsoever, they're going to use it to explain all of the stupid continuity errors that they made with Wonder Woman. But honestly, I think that movie did so poorly, it's a lost cause to even try to fix it. If they don't reboot the entire universe at this point, I don't know. Nobody even cares about Wonder Woman anymore at this point. There was this idea that Flashpoint was going to reboot it, and they wanted to keep Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Captain Marvel because they did well. And people were like, well, we like that part of the Snyder universe. Let's reboot it with those characters and then, rejigger all the rest of it. And now people are going, no, we don't even care about Wonder Woman anymore. And we've kind of forgotten about Aquaman. And, with the Amber Heard stuff, nobody's starting to care about him anymore.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Aquaman still did.
Dude, every month that goes by that we don't have another movie, people are forgetting Aquaman.
But he did very well in China, though.
Yeah, they've kind of moved on from it in China, too.
Okay.
Look at how well Wonder Woman did.
I don't know. Without Aquaman, I don't know what else they have. That's like their biggest film right now, isn't it?
That's sad. When Aquaman is the biggest film that DC has, Aquaman, the one that's been the butt of the jokes for generations. Here's fish guy. Yeah.
Here's what they did with Aquaman. They actually got a very competent director to make it. I believe it was James Wan. He did the Fast and the Furious movies. He did the Conjuring movies too. He did a lot of those, the horror movies, which is interesting. And they had him do Aquaman, and he did a lot of stuff with the underwater stuff that was interesting to look at. Okay,
sure.
It
do Aquaman.
What?
You have to if you're going to do Aquaman. I mean,
and I also thought they did a good job with Black Manta. I like the fact that he was in the movie, even if he wasn't the main villain, and they were setting him up. But again, the movie had its fair share of problems too. I'm not going to lie there.
Yeah, I was watching.
Like the term "aqua bro" was used on him a lot. I
don't
outside.
remember which YouTuber it was, but they were picking. It was either the Nitpickers or the Cinema Sins or one of those. Was kind of picking apart some of the problems with the film and pointing out that he is able to control the Lovecraftian water beast, right? If you can do that, why are you sending dolphins and sharks and stuff to die? And they just kind of counted through all the different animals that he controls and sends to their death. And they're endangered species. He's effing killing these endangered species for no reason. He's just making them cannon fodder when he doesn't have to.
Oh, I would have an insensitive joke to make right now, but I'll stop myself. I'm thinking about countries that might be killing off endangered species and fish. Just never mind. Anyway, Auditor Dread here says, ever since they missed their shot.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say it was back to the drawing board saying that was Matt Pat that said that. He's right. He's not wrong. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Elder Dread saying, ever since they missed their shot with Man of Steel, they have struggled with their shared universe. Yeah, I remember seeing Man of Steel, and I did not care for it, but I think they still could have recovered from it. I mean, because I thought it was. I'll put it this way. There's us, then there's the mainstream public, okay? And sometimes the things that we like and don't like, they don't always match up. I think they ran into trouble with Batman versus Superman. I think that was the one. That thing comes out. This was this idea that Hollywood executives had for a while. They wanted Batman to fight Superman, and they were obsessed with this idea. They were talking about this movie back in the 90s. Don't you remember?
Yep.
Batman versus Superman. We're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. They wanted to do a Death and Return of Superman movie, and they sort of combined the two of them. That's where we got the Dawn of Justice movie.
And that's where it comes down to not understanding your source material and not understanding simple, basic storytelling. Again, if this is the story you want to tell, then you must invest in the build up to it. Okay. If this is the kind of roof you want to put on your building, you got to start by thinking about what foundation you want to lay and what walls and supports you're going to build before you get to that roof that you want. Okay. Batman versus Superman is the roof at the end. And it also comes after the death of Superman story that you want to tell. And that all comes after you've had the origin stories for these characters. There is a natural progression. You can't just jam them all into one movie. It doesn't work that way. Okay, because the Batman versus Superman that they wanted to do was the Dark Knight Returns. That was this is Batman and Superman in the future after they've had a history together as friends, and they begin to take different. Oh, this would have been brilliant for them to have led up to that, so that this year they could have had that story. And you have Superman, who represents, I stand with the U.S. government and, and whatnot, and Batman going, the government's become corrupt, and if you're a hero, you need to stand against it. Very much the whole
Civil War,
Civil
Marvel
War
Civil War.
that we got in Marvel, right?
Yeah.
They're both right. They're both heroes, but they're coming at it from diametrically opposed points of view that put them at odds with each other.
Well, Art addresses the fight between Superman and Batman lasted the whole 10 minutes. They don't understand their characters they are presenting in these films. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and not to mention their resolution was Martha. And people are still joking about that. People still laugh at that stupidity.
Oh, I had a joke because they did an animated Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I wanted a scene where Batman ropes Leonardo, right?
Yeah.
And Leonardo says, April. And Batman goes, I don't know who that is. That needed to happen. I'm sorry.
That is awesome.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
But that's just it. And you know what you were saying about there being a disconnect between the normies and the fans. I'm going to again say, if you're going to do something that's a fandom, you got to please the fans first, but you have to generalize it enough to bring in normies. If you try to make it for the normies, then you better sure as heck make it so good, a Michael Bay spectacle, that you bring in all the normies, because you're going to lose the fans. And there's going to be no momentum going forward. And that's exactly what happened. They pleased not the fans. They pleased not the normies. They pleased nobody.
Yeah. And the investors don't get pleased either, I guess, in the long run.
The investors understand the bottom line. And when they don't see the money coming in, they get pissed.
Okay. So should we move on to the next topic?
The DC Marvel thing.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
So yeah. So as
the one I
Boomer
remember,
was saying, we tend to separate these as, let's talk about DC, let's talk about Marvel, and who would have thought we would be talking about two at the same time? This is going to be a short topic, but it's just bizarre. TNT, oddly, plans DC movie marathon to honor the Captain Marvel cable premiere.
Yeah.
What? When I did the thumbnail, I had Jackie Chan, the meme of him going, what?
This was funny. Okay, yeah. Captain Marvel is set to have its cable premiere on TNT, and in honor of the premiere, they will, for some reason, be airing a DC movie marathon. Carol Danvers made her MC. Oh yeah, they're airing a DC movie marathon. Okay?
Keep in mind, this outlet that put out this article, this is Screen Rant. Okay, Screen Rant is, well, as you continue through the article, you'll see why it's important.
I'm going to read you the next thing. Yeah. Carol Danvers made her MCU debut in 2019. Brie Larson plays the titular role, and she was the first female in the MCU.
Sorry, go on.
Stop. Anyway, to carry her own film. Critical reception to the film was generally positive.
Yep. But Rant.
But the film was marred by trolling online, including review bombing the film on Rotten Tomatoes.
Screen Rant. Yep.
Those darn trolls.
Yeah.
Everyone loved Captain Marvel.
Everyone loved that movie. It was so well received.
It was very average, and I'm being kind if I say
That's
that.
That's why I just think that opening line is so funny when it says, obviously this is somebody this is a biased outlet that is very much favoring Captain Marvel and Marvel, and then, but in the same article is saying for some reason, doing this stupid thing.
I got to read this to you guys. Yeah, Captain Marvel premiere on the cable network on Sunday, January 10th. Set your DVRs, people. Prior to that film's cable premiere, they will air a marathon of certain DC films. Among those films are DCEU movies like Suicide Squad, Justice League, Wonder Woman, Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, and Man of Steel, in that order. Batman Begins, the first entry in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, is thrown in for good measure.
You know what's funny is if it's in that order, they're showing them like basically a backwards order.
Yeah,
From last to
it's all
first.
over the place, and they're throwing in the Nolan movie in there too.
The only thing that I can think is they're doing this to say this is Superman and Batman, and these are the DC movies. But look at how good Marvel is by comparison. Maybe that's the only thing I can think.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking it's all, they don't have any. Yeah. They even have any other Marvel movies?
TNT, maybe not. I don't know.
Okay. So, it may.
How did they get Captain Marvel? That's another thing. If you have Captain Marvel and you don't have any of their better films, why did TNT get the license to show that?
It was cheap. Maybe they thought when they were getting the rights, they were getting the rights to Shazam.
Ha!
Oh yeah, no. He's a DC. Oh wait a minute, this
I
is
don't think they're intelligent enough
who's
to
this
even know
woman?
the connection between those two Captains Marvel.
I ran into this issue with a courier at my job. Like he was into the DC stuff, and he said, "I saw the trailer for the Captain Marvel movie." It's like, that's not Captain Marvel; it's a woman. And I'm saying, no, that's the Marvel Captain Marvel. You're going to want to look for Shazam. That's going to be the DC one. Okay, I know it's confusing. It confused me in the beginning, and I'm wondering if that's what happened here. But you can get your fix of the worst of both universes. Okay. Well, Wonder Woman isn't terrible. I love how that's my caveat with the first Wonder Woman movie. It's not terrible. I'm sounding like Al now. I didn't hate that movie.
And that's I always thought that was kind of funny in a sad way. It's like, it's not terrible. That is not a ringing endorsement, and that is not a reason to see a movie.
I like the actress they cast as Wonder Woman, which is more than I can say for the actress they cast as Captain Marvel. I get
excellent point there.
I get Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. That's fine. I had other issues with the movies. I think there was like half a good movie in Wonder Woman. I'll say that. And it was watchable. Okay. Yeah. And it might still be the best of the DC movies, of the DC expanded universe movies, the DCEU.
Yeah, which is still pretty sad and a very low bar when you really get down to it.
But Leia plus size, I think Troy has a point. They want to put Captain Marvel up there with Wonder Woman, Superman, making her so great, like Marvel started with her. Well, yeah, they were pushing that when the movie came out. They were like, she's the original Avenger, and it's like, no, that was Captain America.
Captain America still predates her, guys.
And Captain Marvel fled to other planets. That whole thing was shoehorned in. It was very obvious if you watch Endgame and you watch the Captain Marvel movie. If they had been smart in their planning, I don't even want to get into this. I think that Professor Geek had brought up a point once that he thinks what they should have done was they should have finished up the Infinity Gem saga, and then maybe started off with, I don't know if he said this, but I seem to recall him saying this, like start a new Marvel Cinematic Universe with new characters like Black Panther, like Spider-Man, okay, and Fantastic Four, and that way you're not bogged down because you're not gonna be able to recall the actors anyway. Just start over, but use different heroes, okay, and have a new threat, and then I think that would have worked out fine. But anyway, I don't know.
No, instead they decided to go with alternate universes and time travel, and that always works out really well.
Yeah, and he even made a point that the original Carol Danvers, the older one, was actually a decent superhero. She was interesting, but they kind of messed her up when they
did.
I guess made her Captain Marvel instead of Ms. Marvel. I think she used to be that.
Sorry, I still feel like, hey, woke crowd, why aren't you more upset about them jumping to Carol Danvers and jumping over Monica Rambeau? She was the better Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah,
you're so concerned about diversity, and we've missed out on Monica Rambeau.
I have a comment here though. If I can watch all those DC movies on TNT, why do I need HBO Max? Okay, crickets. Anyway,
I was just gonna say, there's other options if you really want to watch it for free, but it's really not worth free.
it just feels like HBO Max. They're pushing it. They're pushing. Look at all the stuff on HBO Max, but you can find it other places.
Yeah.
I don't know how much. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent.
I'll be at the store and I'll see the DC films, discounted the DVDs and whatnot, and I'll go, it's still overpriced. I still wouldn't pay for it, I mean, but then again, I wouldn't pay free. Free is too much for me because you'd have to pay me for the 2 hours I'm going to lose watching the darn thing, or 2.5 hours if it's Wonder Woman 84 for F's sake.
How long was Captain Marvel movie? What's the runtime on that? I got to find out now.
Too long.
Captain Marvel movie runtime. I'm very curious. I'll be done in a minute. What was the runtime for that? 2 hours, 5 minutes. Okay, normal length. Okay. Probably too long, you're right, but at least it wasn't 2.5 hours. That'll be Captain Marvel 2 if it ever comes out.
Somebody that on another channel, and I won't say which one, was saying that actually the porn parody without the sex is actually better for Captain Marvel than Captain Marvel was.
Oh, I can believe that.
And that's actually I've actually heard that's true for a lot of superhero parodies. The costumes are better. The humor is definitely better.
That industry tends to have money. So anyway,
I know, right?
Back to the drawing board says, remember all those DC movies come with opportunity cost. You will never get the hours you waste on them back. Yeah,
right. That's exactly right.
Oh, that reminds me of a bad joke. I don't know if I should make this joke on this. Is a clean stream. Do you remember a while ago?
I think I've already blown that one out of the water.
Okay. Do you remember that a while ago there was that it was a pornographic film called Pirates, right? Right, you know what I'm talking about? I don't
know it, but go on.
Okay, I think it was made in response to the popularity of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
Well, apparently I'd read online that there was an edited version that edited out all the naughty parts, and you could just watch it as a regular pirate film, right? Sure. Okay. And and a friend of mine, I think, rented it, and I said, "Did you rent the rated version or the unrated version?" And he was like, "Well, I don't know. I hope it was the rated version because I don't know what they would have put in the unrated version." Then,
well, I can tell you honestly, from experience, I have seen the edited, in other words, no sex, no nudity version of Star Trek: The Next Generation parody.
Right.
Let me tell you something. It was good. It was really good.
It was probably better than Star Trek Picard.
It was like a good episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. And it was clearly written by people who understood Star Trek: The Next Generation. I mean, they had the characters right. They had minor, elements of their characters and their history right. I mean, there's no way they could have done it if they didn't know Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I'm like, this is better than anything that's coming out of CBS All Extortion,
Oh man, yes.
Yeah, no, Monica Rambeau was a massive missed opportunity. She was almost like the forgotten Captain Marvel, which is a shame because she was incredible. Not only that, but comic book fans have not forgotten her. She is still the most popular Captain Marvel. I mean, there's a lot of people that she was their first Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even come to Captain Marvel until after the alien guy died of cancer, and that was a big deal back then.
Yeah. Okay. So should we get on to
the drawing board? Said, "Ooh, Troy said the sex word, and the stream hiccuped. Careful." Not my stream. I don't care.
I mean, it's not your stream. It's my stream.
Yeah, it's your stream.
I run a clean show here.
Dude,
but speaking of which,
you can dump me anytime you want.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm a little worried. What are you sipping on tonight?
Oh, it's just a Professor Geek special, Diet Dr. Pepper. I got to work.
Is it mellowing you out a bit? We're not going to have to worry about
no real mellowing me out. I'll be honest with you. I'm more mellow when I drink alcohol.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. If you're doing because we have a story that okay, because I don't know if we're gonna get a Troy rage or not, so I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. This
Oh,
story gets me into a rage, so I'm terrified what it will do to Troy here. Okay, first we got the first story. Yeah, Melissa Harris. Thank you for bringing this to my attention the other night during Troy's birthday stream, and I kept thinking, is this a nothing burger? And I'm like, oh no, there's more to this than meets the eye. Okay, so the first one is I'll read the quote. Comic tropes YouTuber calls for Marvel to quote unquote abandon the Punisher after Donald Trump protest rally in Washington, D.C.
yeah. Okay, so I
Okay,
read this one. It's
I'll read
hard
you
for me
the.
to get too worked up about this one, though. And I'll
Okay,
tell you
okay,
why in a minute.
okay. The first one is we have two of them here too. Okay, comic tropes YouTuber Chris Pierre's. I hope I'm saying that right. I'd never heard him before, but apparently he's a big deal. He's got over 100,000.
Yeah.
Is that a big deal? Okay. Called on Marvel to completely abandon the Punisher in the wake of the Donald Trump protest rally in Washington, D.C. Okay. The YouTuber, who has over 138,000 subscribers, shared a photo to Twitter of an individual wearing a patch featuring the Punisher logo overlaid on the flag of the United States of America. Pierre's then wrote, the seditionists that invaded the Capitol today wore a Punisher logo. I say Marvel needs to either aggressively enforce their trademark so it isn't painted everywhere or abandon the Punisher completely. He then added, you can't allow your characters to be used by terrorists. This is his quote. This is what he thinks of what happened on Tuesday. Okay. There's a lot I find an issue, and this was originally when I read this. I'm like, oh Lord, I was even going to say we were going to do this one on the Rumble one, but then we got more news. Should I go on?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this is from Bleeding Cool. Bleeding Cool has its own issues too, but there were some quotes. Sci-Fi suggested the character needs to get a makeover. Get an artist with flair for costume design to do a complete visual redo that eliminates the skull. Hire a writer to find a story hook to explain why the change is visual aesthetic.
Yeah.
In visual, okay, that's an error. Okay, you'll catch heat for creating a quote unquote woke Frank Castle, no doubt. But who cares if the story is a good one? People will buy the book.
That's about the only sentence that half of a sentence I agree with. If you make a good story, people will buy it. But you kind of countermand it all with everything that came before that.
Yes. We got more here. I hope I'm not boring the stream, but I have to get through this. Yeah. Inverse stated that the Punisher now belongs to the Proud Boys and that it's not up to me how Disney or Marvel pursues action, but there are examples of companies taking action. Fred Perry, the Polo clothing company whose black and yellow tipped shirts became a Proud Boys uniform, ceased manufacturing and selling the shirt and released a statewide condemning the Proud Boys values. And here's another thing. Here's the thing. When we all went to shutdown, this is bringing up a point about what's going on with the Punisher. Mm-hmm. When we all went to shutdown, Marvel published the series Punisher versus Barracuda, which replaced the Punisher ongoing series that concluded in October 2019. It was a strong seller. But artist Declan Shalvey was told to stop drawing the book. This happened to many titles, but most of those titles weren't strong sellers. But this also coincided with the Black Lives Matter protests and a focus on real and fictional police behavior. It is possible that Marvel took another look at the comic they were working on, and as time passed, there has been less and less inclination to pick the series up again. And there have been no new Punisher comics published or solicited since November. Has Marvel Comics canceled the Punisher without actually telling anyone? Taken down Frank Castle permanently with a stealth shot? We will keep watching the schedules.
Okay. So, a couple things here. First, everybody seems to forget that despite what they've done with the Punisher in the past decade or so, he was introduced as a villain. He's an anti-hero at best. I'm sorry, but you guys have made a lot of money making anti-heroes into heroes. So if you have a problem with what that's led to, that's your own fault. So screw you, Marvel. Congratulations. You reap what you sow. Secondly, this whole idea of abandon an IP because somebody's wearing the t-shirts that you sell, you kind of miss the whole point of marketing. Okay. People buy your shirts, then they go and they commit a crime. If you see that as a reflection on Marvel, then you kind of don't understand how t-shirts work.
So
okay?
if I like go and rob a bank wearing a Captain America t-shirt,
yeah, Marvel
is
Comics
Marvel
doesn't
responsible
get to
for
come
that?
along and say, you know what, you bought this t-shirt, which is our intellectual property. We're suing you for making us look bad by committing a crime while wearing it. No, I bought this t-shirt. It is my clothing now. It has no reflection on you now that I own it. You know, that's not how your trademark works. You don't get to dictate my actions if I wear your shirt. Okay. Maybe if Coca-Cola was paying me advertising for using my chest, then maybe they'd have some say over it. But you don't do that, Marvel.
Well, I have no idea what they're going on about. Back to the drawing board makes a point. Do they realize all Marvel costumes are cosplay bait now? Yeah. Anyone can slap on a Marvel costume and co-opt them. Maybe I should dress as Miss Marvel to a protest. There you go.
Yeah. So here's the thing. They can come after you if you are making the costume and selling it on Etsy. You know, that is an infringement of their intellectual property rights. But you make yourself a costume for yourself for personal use, good luck trying to pursue that, you know? And even better still, you decide you're going to stop selling it yourself. That intellectual property falls to public domain eventually if you don't do anything with it, which is exactly why they keep putting out Captain Marvel. Whether it sells, nobody gives a crap. As long as they keep canceling and restarting that title, they hold the rights to the name Captain Marvel. That's all they care about, so that DC Comics can't eventually come and pick it back up. So fine, you don't like people associating the Punisher with their activities, fine, quit using the character, let the trademark lapse, and you know, in a couple of years you can say, yeah, we know we created it, but it's not our thing anymore. And you make $0 off of it, and someone else is going to be out there continuing to put it on t-shirts, and now you can't even go after them for it. That's genius.
Oh, back to the drawing board. No comment on Batman's full costume appearance at the riots during the summer, I noticed. Yes, I do remember seeing him show up. I didn't know what that was about.
Oh, yeah. There's a
point.
lot of double standards happening now.
Yes.
I'm sorry. The hypocrites are out in force. I'm telling you, everything that you say about the people this last week, you know, you better have said it about people last summer. If you don't, you're a hypocrite, and I don't want to hear anything you have to say.
See, black is white, 2 + 2 = 5. That's what I'm getting from a lot of this stuff lately. Yep.
Fine when we do it, but it's not okay when you do it. It's okay to shoot a white girl, an unarmed white girl, but you know, some a black person gets killed committing a crime, and that's racism. Okay, fine, whatever. Mm-hmm. So when I said all lives matter and you called me a racist, all you did was prove it this past week. Congratulations.
Well, I think we're ending up in a country where, well, no, I got to stop myself. I was going to say no lives matter, but well, no, I already did. Yeah, I know it is. But anyways, but anyway, I originally was thinking, well, this is just people.
Spot on, Wolfie. Thanks.
Yeah, I was just yeah. Wolfton says, now I really want to see wear my Punisher shirt. I wish a mother would stop me from wearing it. Yeah. But I'm trying to think. He would probably say it better than I did. But
yeah, you got to say wish a mother, because otherwise, the way you say it, it's his mother telling him he can't wear it, and he probably wouldn't then.
Well, you know, it's like Norman Bates would say it, right? Mother. Okay, never mind.
Mother. Yeah.
Oh, that was the funny thing on Bates Motel. I'm going outside, but like when his brother would say, "Stop saying mother," okay, when you refer to mom, it's why it's not cool. Don't say that.
That was a creepy creepy show. I
That
mean,
was a creepy show. I miss it. It was like Psycho, but it had a lot of Alfred Hitchcock presents.
that
I
last
think mixed
season
in.
started to get really uncomfortable,
Oh yeah,
and
a lot of
in all
things.
the ways that I predicted that it would too.
Hmm.
Back to the drawing board, and now I have to do something I never thought I'd do. Sean King called the Capitol shooting a bad shoot. I give him full credit for
Well,
that.
he is not a hypocrite.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I was even arguing too, and we'll get to this in our next segments too. That you can disagree with someone politically, but you can still have some decorum, and that's
Right.
usually the best way to get them on your side politically to begin with. Anyway, if you're if you're not screaming at them that you're an Islamophobe, whatever, and we're just talking.
Well, and that's usually
We would probably solve a lot more problems in this country if we would just
that's
talk to each
usually
other.
the best way to take the wind out of their sails, right? If someone says, I think everybody that stormed the Capitol should have been arrested, I could very easily turn around and say, yeah, I agree. Oh, you do? Yeah. Just like I think everybody that was protesting this past summer, burning places down and camping out, in the middle of a commercial district should be arrested.
So
And
you're
if you don't
saying
agree with me, then you're the hypocrite.
so you're saying when someone sets a man's business on fire, then he goes with a fire extinguisher to try to put out the fire, and then he gets knocked unconscious. That's the hospital. You're saying that's not a peaceful protest. That's my point.
I'm not even going that far with it.
Yeah.
I'm saying you got to apply the same rules across
to everybody.
Exactly.
But that wasn't good.
And as soon as you say it's okay for one person of one race and not okay for a person of another race, who's the racist?
Or even of a political affiliation. I think that's even
And that's what's even
here.
worse.
Yeah.
It's not even about race anymore. Now
Now it's
if you're a
political affiliation.
conservative, you deserve to die.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe the woke left, you don't deserve to work, you don't deserve to have a home, you deserve to die.
The thing is, when you support this, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, it will eventually come to bite you in the butt too, because the people pulling the strings don't care about you either.
Yep.
But anyway, what was I making a point? Oh, Melissa Harris says, I love the Punisher movie where the Punisher blows up a junkyard and drags a burning man with his car and makes a giant flaming Punisher skull. That was the Thomas Jane Punisher movie. You ever see that?
That was good. That was brilliant film. Yeah.
I love all three Punisher movies, even
you
the Dolph
remember who
Lundgren one.
The dragged burning man was, by the way?
Was it Travolta?
It was John Travolta.
Yes, I remember now. Yes. That was a good, because I think Thomas Jane wasn't as well known, so they wanted to get a more known star. So they cast the more known star as the villain. So they got Travolta, and it was excellent. I even liked the follow up, Punisher Warzone, which I guess ended up being a reboot because they couldn't get Thomas Jane back. That was also excellent. Punisher Warzone. Yep. Punisher Warzone plays like a B movie version of The Dark Knight. Yeah. It's so over the top.
I'll be honest with you. It took me a long time to see Warzone, and I didn't think I was going to like it. And Nanette had liked the Tom James film so much. She's like, yeah, let's see it. And I checked it out, and I'm like, this actually isn't bad. If you just get past the fact that it's not the same actor and just go, yeah, it's the same character. I'm like, yeah, this is actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
Dirty Laundry is even better still. I was very concerned about showing that one to Nanette, and she loved it.
I have Dirty Laundry. A friend gave it to me. I need to watch it. It's like an unofficial Thomas Jane Punisher follow up, right?
Yes, it is.
I need to check that out. Yeah, because I'm a big fan of Punisher Warzone. I even like the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie.
Well, speaking of the Dolph Lundgren film, going back to what you're talking about, the one person saying that they should redo the Punisher to remove the skull. Yeah, that worked real well for the Dolph Lundgren film, right? Yeah, that should work real well in the comics too. But let's face it, I think in about a year, it's not going to matter because there won't be any more Marvel comics.
Well, we'll see. I know DC's in trouble, definitely. Oh, Nanette has 2 Punisher shirts.
She does, and I have a couple myself. Yeah,
I don't have any Punisher shirts. I have a lot of other characters without Punisher. I got Venom. I have the X-Men. I got Batman, Superman, Captain America, Black Panther. I don't think I have Punisher, though. No.
Yep.
I don't think I have Wolverine either. I do have, I think I mentioned Venom, though. But, yeah, I am looking for... I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to watch Dirty
You know
Laundry.
what? I'll agree with this stupid comic stroke doing that. Yeah, abandon Punisher. You do that because I'm sorry. I don't care if you do own the rights to Punisher. You don't get to dictate what people wearing the shirts that you license do.
Well, they
And
think they can
if you
dictate
want to
to.
just give up the intellectual property, all you're doing is throwing money away. That's fine. You can do that too,
Well,
because
it's funny.
someone's going to continue making those shirts.
They think they can dictate to Disney, though. That's another thing I was noticing about this too. All these insiders, they're thinking they can tell Disney what they can publish and not publish.
Everybody thinks that they can control everything. I'm sorry. That's not what this country is about. Freedom and liberty cannot be controlled. And as soon as you start dictating things and controlling things, you no longer have freedom. The two are incompatible.
Well, because as it even says, I believe in our Declaration of Independence, they are not given out by people. They're not man-made. Okay.
Socialism and communism can only be voted for once.
Yeah. But I'm saying the rights, yeah. Certain inalienable rights. That's what I was getting at.
Yep. Oh, I get that entirely. But I'll tell you what, I think that most people in this country are the same way. And I think last week was a great wake up call for people. People are ready to fight a revolution again if we have to. Just saying.
Brian Gilmore, and I have to read this.
Yeah.
I have a Deadpool shirt where he's with Princess Peach saying, "Sorry, Mario, your princess is in my castle." Oh no. I need to find this t-shirt now.
Oh, that is so funny.
That's so wrong. Oh, there's so many. Oh, I'm not again. I've seen a lot of improper humor, I should say. I'll tell you after the stream about concerning Mario and Princess Peach. But anyway. But
back to the drawing board says we have a culture-wide God complex. They think they control a virus for crying out loud. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Or that you're immune to it if you follow their 6 foot and wear a mask rule. And if you get it, then you weren't doing that. I'm sorry, that nature doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
All right. So we ready to move on to Star Wars, I think.
This is a big topic. I don't know that we have enough time for it now. My gosh.
Well, I know. Well,
that's okay. Let's see what we can get.
Whatever. I was probably talking about other things. Hold on. All right.
You put up a link?
Yep. Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie lands Loki EP.
Netter dropped a
executive
link
producer
in the stream there for you, Boomer. It's a link to the shirt if you want to get it.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I'll look for that later. Thank you.
Yeah. So it does sound like the Kevin Feige movie that was announced at the Investor Day. They've got their writer. It's Michael Walden. He's the one that's worked or has worked on Loki. I don't know too much about him, but that's all we know, at least as far as this movie goes. We don't know what the movie's about, when it takes place, who's involved, but there's some news for you.
Yeah, I have a quote from the article. At the same Investors Day presentation, Kennedy formally announced 2 new Star Wars movies, the first Rogue Squadron, and then another one being untitled, being directed by Taika Waititi. But Kennedy did not mention Feige's project, not a Star Wars feature in development from Slate, writer-director J.D. Dillard, and Luke Cage writer Matt Owens. So is this another one where she's getting blindsided? I mean, this was announced a while ago, wasn't it?
Because, again, if they're bringing there's been Feige talk coming over to Star Wars for a couple of years now. And look, what's happening? We got Favreau over there, and we got Kathleen Kennedy. Favreau is the one that's successful with The Mandalorian. Kathleen Kennedy is the one who has failure after failure, right? Favreau is the one that pretty much started the Marvel Universe, right? He laid the groundwork, and then Feige said, okay, here's what we do. And they worked well together. You know, what I was talking about in earlier topics, you get into fights behind the camera and you can't get your directors and writers and producers working together and you're going to have a crap fest. Well, Favreau and Feige are a couple that work very well together.
Yeah, and I'm seriously wondering if this is going to be related at all to the Mandalorian, if it's going to be its own thing. I had a thought. What if? Because my main question is this another standalone Star Wars movies how we've gotten them before? You know, with Rogue.
I don't think so. You don't bring in Feige after Favreau has had all kinds of success and say, okay, you work on something completely separate. He comes in and says, I'm going to be working with my buddy.
Could you do a movie, a Star Wars movie that you are maybe pushing as a standalone movie, but then it's open to having sequels?
Oh, I'm sure it will be positioned to have sequels. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be standalone. I think it's going to be directly tied into the Mandalorian and that whole storyline. Because obviously the reason you bring in Feige is because you look over at Marvel and you go, we want that kind of a tapestry. And he's not going to build that tapestry on the sequel trilogy.
Well, you can't build a tapestry on the sequel trilogy because they killed off all the characters.
Yeah.
They killed off even the new characters they introduced. This is one of the issues I had with it too. It's not even like they were introducing the woman who was on Game of Thrones, you know, the one who played Captain Phasma, and you know, and she shows up for like 5 minutes in Last Jedi, and then she gets killed off.
Because again, we're this whole kill the past thing. It wasn't just about George Lucas and the fans. It was about literally the director that came before them. Mm-hmm. They were killing off what J.J. Abrams had done. So it was that level of dysfunction. You know? That's where the problem was. They killed off Snoke. They killed off Phasma. You know, they destroyed all the story threads that the JJ had set up. So it's like, well, crap, you know?
Part of me wonders if they had been able to do what J.J. Abrams wanted to do, and we'll never know what that was. I've heard rumors of that second screenplay, and one of the rumors sounded interesting that if it had gone there, that might have been something that would have at least kept me kind of interested, but I don't. And then he's playing catch up in the third one to try and fix what Johnson did, and that was a disaster. Yeah. Rise of Skywalker is almost as bad, if not worse, than Last Jedi.
But turd so much, right?
Yeah, and I don't, and that part of me doesn't even want to cut Abrams slack either, because I kind of do blame him for this mess too. But it's, in fact, I blame him for a lot of things, so I'm not cutting him slack at all. We're still dealing with his.
I get that, but I again, in the interests of being intellectually honest, I think back to where I was after I saw The Force Awakens, and I'll be honest, I saw it and I was not happy about the Han Solo thing.
Wasn't. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but I was like, I'll be interested to see where this goes. Maybe it's leading into something. Plus, it was also flavored with the history of knowing Harrison Ford wanted out. Okay, fine.
Han Solo was going to die. This was predicted years ago when Disney was going to bring. We all knew they were going to kill off one of the three people. It's going to be Han. I think I was a little more upset that he and Leia had separated in the whole thing with the son, but I was expecting going in that one of the original three of the big three characters were going to get killed off, and Han probably made the most sense. Okay.
Yeah.
But not that I think that they had to go that route. It might have subverted my expectations in not doing that. But
yeah. But after that one, it was like, well, this definitely is not my favorite Star Wars. It's not even as good as the prequels, but it's definitely got the potential to be setting up something that could be good. But I'll tell you, once that second one came out, it was done. It was like everyone who was a fan was just done.
That was a hard watch. Mm-hmm. That was a hard watch for so many reasons. I remember being in the theater seeing it because I have a confession to make. I'm like a casual Star Wars fan. I mean, I watched some. I watched the original movies, of course, a lot of times. I saw the prequels, but I'll even watch the cartoons once in a blue moon. But I'm not as, and I would play the game. Well, maybe I'm not as casual as I'm saying it. But the point is that I wasn't going into The Last Jedi thinking it was going to be this great movie. I thought it was just going to be like a popcorn film, and then I watched it, and it was like getting your teeth drilled. You know, it was like just it.
And no, I'm sorry, Schooner Tuna. All roads don't lead to the sequel trilogy. The more every month that goes by, Disney is backpedaling more and more from those sequel trilogies.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, because it's whatever makes money. I think in the long run.
Exactly.
But I don't think they're not in a position to say, oh, it's done away with now. I'm thinking 10, 15, 20 years down the line, they'll disavow it.
Keep open that possibility as long as they can. But there's eventually going to be a point where they're going to be doing so well with Star Wars again that they're going to go, okay, fine. We don't have to honor that trilogy that nobody likes and nobody bought toys for and nobody has sitting on their DVD shelf. And they're not dumb. They know what people are streaming. They know people are watching The Mandalorian over and over and over again, and they're watching Star Wars and the prequels. And yeah, our numbers for the sequel trilogies just doesn't seem to be working. I think eventually what you're going to see is that logo that opens up at the beginning of The Mandalorian's opening credits. Eventually, you're going to see them drop Kylo Ren's, mask away from it, and BB-8, and all that's going to go away. And they're going to become maybe Easter eggs once in a while. You're going to see a BB-8 droid somewhere in the background, somewhere in the future, but there's never going to be any references to those characters again.
Oh, we got another story. Han Solo reportedly show up in the Mandalorian universe.
Yeah, so this one comes out, and I know I shared this with you, but I shared it with you just because it's out there and people are talking about it, not because I give it any. Guys, you need to take this with a big scoop of salt. Okay, this is coming from. We got this covered to begin with. It was covered by Star Wars Meg because she literally does a video daily about Star Wars, so she will literally comment on everything, regardless of what kind of bullshit it is. Number one, the reason that the Luke Skywalker thing was so impactful was because A, they did it excellently, and B, they kept it a secret. They are only going to let a rumor like this out if it just keeps buzz going. But nobody cares if Han Solo comes back because nobody cared about Han Solo, a Star Wars story. Solo lost money.
It's because they killed the character, and I believe it was because they killed the character off a couple years earlier, and it's like that character story is done.
They're not going to get Harrison Ford to come back and do it.
No, I am expecting if they do that Lando series, they'll get the newer actor to play as Solo again.
And that's the other thing too. They, even Star Wars Meg pointed out, yeah, if they're going to bring somebody back, bring back Lando. Why bring back Han Solo? I don't think there's anything really there. I think this is just these dingbats making up some crap.
Okay.
Really, it's like, oh, well, they brought back Luke Skywalker. I bet they'll next bring back Han Solo. Let's beat them to the punch and get that article out there.
Okay, so this is probably a whole lot of horse hockey, you're thinking?
I think so. I think
okay.
And if it does happen, I don't see it happening in the okay, so the article does say in the Mandalorian universe.
So that could just mean it's the Lando series they're working on or something,
or there could be a Han Solo reference in the Book of Boba Fett. I could see that.
Oh, good point.
That makes a little bit more sense.
That actually does make more sense to have him show up in there.
But I think that's actually something I'd rather comment on, which I think is even more interesting. In the Mandalorian universe, they are now beginning to, and this is a media outlet for whatever lack of value I ascribe them, are now starting to refer to the Mandalorian universe as a separate thing. Like it's that as opposed to that Kathleen Kennedy crap. I think that's pretty telling too.
Yeah, I think people know. I mean, we'll see how the years go, but Right now, we're having the two factions. And speaking of the Kathleen Kennedy side of things, you want to go to the next one?
Well, first, let me at least acknowledge the comment you got up there.
Oh,
Matthew Flynn loves the prequels. Watched all 6 of them as a kid. I'll I'll be honest with you. I liked the prequels when I saw them. I didn't have any serious problems with the prequels. I just felt like there was a lot that could have been done that wasn't. And if your biggest problem is I wish there'd been more of it, then I don't really see a problem there. And I feel like they actually addressed most of my problems in the Clone Wars. I
yeah.
feel like if you're going to do, if you're going to talk about in the prequels, you're going to talk about the Clone Wars. I want to see the Clone Wars. And I felt like the Clone Wars took place in between movies. I'm like, I've missed way too much here. And I think they kind of knew that. And that's why they did the Clone Wars, you know?
Yeah.
And then, in the same spirit as Rogue One, they decided to do Rebels to lead up to the next movie. And I'm like, these in between stories are worthwhile, and if you're going to do them, though, you have to know what's come before. Don't go trampling over it, because people are going to say, look, this was said in this movie, and now you're showing this, and those two don't line up. And I don't think there's a lot of that. I think there's sometimes a little bit of, well, from a certain point of view, but by and large, there's no like big retcons or anything like that.
No.
So yeah, I dig that. I think now in by comparison to the sequel trilogy, the prequels look like high art.
The thing with the prequel trilogy, whatever I'll say about them, they were solid. So it was a science fiction universe. There was good world building there.
It built on what he'd already created. Yeah. There were some minor things that I thought were kind of dumb, but that's George Lucas for you, right? I mean, you could say what you want about Jar Jar Binks and midichlorians and angels, talking about angels, but yeah, whatever,
Okay.
But yeah, let's go on to so we've talked about the Mandalorian verse, and we've talked about Kevin Feige's new project, and we've speculated a little bit about Han Solo. But hey, let's talk a little bit about the High Republic. Did everybody know that the High Republic was released last week and it did awesome? Everybody loves it. Woo!
Oh my goodness. I have never seen a more tepid response to anything. Yeah, I'll read you a couple of quotes.
Yeah.
Star Wars The High Republic is launching, and the response has been underwhelming for Lucasfilm. This is from Pirates and Princesses.
Everyone's shocked? Let's see your shocked faces.
Now the blame game has begun as the mega story limps out of the gate. The prime target is blaming Jon Favreau for the perception that he has enabled what individuals in Lucasfilm view as toxic demographics. More specifically, Luke Skywalker emboldened one part of a divided audience.
Yeah. So what they're basically doing,
I want to scream for a minute here.
Go ahead, scream.
Luke Skywalker is Star Wars.
Yeah,
he's the main character, and I'm not saying you can't do other characters. He's the heart of the whole thing. Okay.
Let not your heart be troubled, Boomer, because of what I'm about to say about this. Look at what they just said, what you just read there, and what they're saying in their camp, and I'm going to translate that for you. What they're basically saying is, hey, that's not fair. Yours is more popular than ours. And that says something else. Again, they are acknowledging the schism. They're saying your Star Wars isn't our Star Wars. Your Star Wars is selling better than our Star Wars. Our Star Wars is failing and yours is doing too good, and it's not fair to us. I look at that and I say winning. Sucks to be you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, there's more. This gets better. Sources tell me that the Lucasfilm story group that has been heavily involved in the development of the High Republic is frustrated for several reasons. First, the reveal of Luke Skywalker in the finale of Mandalorian's second season took all the oxygen out of High Republic.
Yep.
Who cares about the High Republic if they're all wondering what happens with Luke Skywalker and his new Padawan Grogu? Worse, I'm told they're furious because they weren't informed about Luke Skywalker being the season send-off surprise.
And there you go. That's the line that a lot of people are talking about right now. They're going, so Kathleen Kennedy didn't know about Luke Skywalker? Really? That goes back to what I was talking about earlier in the show. The Favreau camp is not reporting to Kathleen Kennedy. They're going right over her head.
Oh, this is another. To really twist the dagger, individuals at Lucasfilm were angry because not only did the Pablo Hidalgo situation blow up in their faces, but then celebrities began thanking Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Mark Hamill. To them, this is a betrayal of Kathleen Kennedy, who originally put Favreau and Filoni for The Mandalorian. Nobody is thanking Kathleen Kennedy for The Mandalorian.
Nobody is, because she decided to stab Lucas and all the fans in the back. Who the hell is going to thank her for that?
And this is an important part. What all this has done is make a previously whispered about schism turn into a full-blown public display of the two visions at Lucasfilm. Nobody in their right mind can look at the High Republic and the Mandalorian and conclude that these are two sub-properties following the same mission statement under a unified Lucasfilm. And because fans are now picking sides, High Republic seems to be knee-capped by the popularity of The Mandalorian, as well as the fear that High Republic signals a return to the sequel trilogy style of Star Wars.
Sorry, guys. I've been saying this for years now. I've been saying this since The Last Jedi. I've been saying that they are going to correct it. They're going to correct it. It's going to take a long time. It's not going to be a sudden reboot, but it's happening. And I'm sorry if you don't like the fact that they don't just say, we're sorry, fans. Let's pretend those movies didn't happen and we'll greenlit a new sequel trilogy. I'm sorry it doesn't work exactly the way you want, but you are getting what you want.
I was arguing, this explains that public shaming of Star Wars theory the other week, okay?
Yeah.
That's what's going on here. Because remember, it's like you were rather exacerbated in a rant that I posted that we did last week about how someone's praising what you did and you're still yelling at him. Well, they didn't do it.
Exactly.
They had nothing to do with this. That's what's going on here.
I was indirectly inferring that you know, these people, this guy, the guy from Star Wars Theory is loving something Star Wars. You're supposed to be Star Wars. You know, we're supposed to see it all as one, right? You want us to believe that Kathleen Kennedy's in charge and there's one Star Wars and she's in charge. And so she oversees the Mandalorian and it's all hers, right? If that's the case, then when someone is happy about something Star Wars, Pablo Hidalgo, who represents Star Wars, ought to be like, you're welcome. But no, he belittles people for that. You don't like my Star Wars. You like that Star Wars over there. Therefore, you're scum, you're shit. Okay, fine. Now blame the fans for recognizing this schism that you are amplifying. You are going out of your way to prove the rumors right, dumbasses.
Well, speaking of bad behavior, I know this is a big story, but do you want to move on to a certain author writing the High Republic stuff?
Sure.
Okay.
If Wolfie is still in the stream, though, Wolfie, can you let us know? Is there anything happening tonight? Is there a Weeb Watch or anything like that we need to watch for? Because we're going to be getting down to the 15-minute mark here.
Yeah. I think there was, but yeah, let us know, Wolfton, if you could. But the High Republic.
Yeah. So
this is more bad optics.
Can I just say that there's a lot of memes out there about this title, the High Republic. People are being like, is this like Jay and Silent Bob Republic? Is this like Cheech and Chong High Republic? I mean, that would actually explain a great deal if that was the case.
Do you remember the Mark Hamill cameo in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
I actually didn't see it.
I need to at least send you the clip from that movie, okay?
Yeah, do.
It's funny. I'm sorry. I bursted out laughing in the theater. It's okay.
Sure, I'll have to check it out.
I can't even say what it's. I'll
No,
send
no,
it to
yeah,
you.
don't ruin it. You just send me the
Okay,
clip.
I'm
And I'll
just gonna
check it
send
out.
it to you. They end
Well,
up on the set of the Jay and Silent Bob movie, and then Mark Hamill's playing the villain, and a whole thing takes place, and it's funny. Okay,
yeah. But
okay.
yeah,
Anyway,
let's talk about
all right.
Justina Ireland. She's a
She's
piece of work.
piece of work. That's one way of putting it. Yes. Okay. I'll read you some quotes. Star Wars: The High Republic author Justina Ireland recently bashed white men leading up to the launch of the first wave of High Republic stories.
You know, and that worked out so well for A Stitch in Time, right? Or A Wrinkle in Time, or whatever the heck that movie
Oh, was
was,
the
right?
director doing that as well? Okay. Justina Ireland, Star Wars: The High Republic author. Just okay. Hold on. Sorry, it pasted something. Okay, on January 3rd, Ireland took to Twitter where she wrote, "I guess mediocre white men are still going to be on here bragging about their mediocrity as though it's a hilarious anecdote instead of pure." No, that's so.
No,
Thanks
that's
for
right.
yeah, pure holery. Okay, there I said it. So thanks for establishing that baseline early 2021. Okay. Um, in a follow up, she added, tweet. Imagine a 20 tweet thread about outsmarting your 9-year old. What a waste of perfectly good carbon.
Yeah. So
Okay.
she was responding to a
Yeah,
tweet
it's in here.
about some guy was making a joke, and he tweeted out about playing with his daughter on not being able to know how to open up a can using a can opener. And
Yeah,
it
a
was a
can
big,
of beans with a can open.
it was
It was
and he and his wife and his daughter were playing around with this shtick and having a great time. This is the kind of stuff families do. Functioning families that have fun together. Okay. You pick a little bit. Yeah, I've seen the videos too of the people that, the grandmother trying to get her granddaughter to use a rotary phone, and she can't figure it out. And she's
or,
like, well,
or also like you set down like an old Game Boy in front of a kid, like how does this work, or like an old computer or something,
yeah,
that
yeah.
goes
And
with it.
it's funny, and it's the whole boomer joke, and get over it. Okay. Everyone has a little laugh, and you move on. This isn't, being mean spirited.
And she's been doing this a lot over the years. Even last year, Stephen King had a tweet saying the most important thing we can do as artists and creative people is make sure everyone has the same fair shot, regardless of sex, color, or orientation. Right
Yep.
now, such people are badly underrepresented,
So
not
stop right
only in the
there, right?
arts. Yeah,
Here's somebody who is actually on your side, is actually saying the things that you want to hear and you want to say. Go ahead.
and her
So what does she say to
response,
that? Does she say
I,
thank you? Does she say I agree? Does she say here, here? No. What does she say?
and Ireland responded, writing, and this is why this tweet functionally doesn't work. Creators of color, women creators, and queer creators will never get opportunities as long as quote unquote quality is focused on a white, masculine, hetero default as it constantly is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
And I look at that and I go, no, the reason that you're never going to get a fair shake is because you're a cunt. That's why.
oh,
I'm sorry, man. You told me that you were going to get me fired up. You got me fired up.
okay. Well, I thought it'd be on the Punisher story. Anyway, what was I going to say? So that'll
It's
be a.
people like this that just have absolutely no business being in, business, for crying out loud. This is the kind of stupidity that sank Star Wars in the first place. And they still have them employed there. Disney, what the hell is wrong with you? I understand it takes some time and you're giving them enough rope to hang themselves with. But for frack's sake, get rid of these idiots. This didn't work. This didn't do you any favors with Captain Marvel. It didn't do you any favors with A Wrinkle in Time. And you see what's happening with the High Republic. I guess this is Disney saying, well, we let them do the High Republic and nobody wanted it, so we're canceling it because of low sales. So they have that to fall back on. But all you're doing is more of this Pablo Hidalgo bull crap, pushing people away. More, you can't afford that anymore, Disney. You just can't.
Yeah. And I don't know this sort of attitude. I hate to say this, especially bashing white men. It does show up a lot in certain writing communities and even sometimes in publishing too. I mean, I'd hate to say there's a reason why I sought out Professor Geek originally. Okay, things were getting a little heated where I was coming from. Okay,
I would
and
imagine.
especially after the previous election happened. But yeah, and she goes on though, but she doubles
Of
down.
course she goes on. Because she just can't stop. She doesn't have it in herself to rein herself in. She has no self-control, says the guy that just dropped the C word.
It's okay, because I'm going to record a nay, so I can at least put up the censored version later on. Okay, we are going to do a live on
you
stream.
can get a lot of mileage out of funny special effects over my indiscretions.
Oh, that's a way for me to get around it. Okay, I'll think about that later, though. But yeah, Justine Ireland tells Star Wars not to purchase the High Republic. This tends to be a common thing. There was a thing a little while back about Kelly Sue DeConnick saying, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my books. It's as simple as that. She made the same statement. I don't know if this is like a thing they circle around there. But I'll read you the quotes. Okay, so someone wrote to her, Jackson wrote, content creators, it used to be common folk wisdom to not share your political beliefs for fear of losing fans. How has the last 4 years changed that? Are you still afraid of losing fans? And she also wrote,
don't buy my stuff because you don't agree with me.
Well, I made a point too. This isn't an issue of politics. This is an issue of bigoted statements toward a group of people based on the color of their skin, which we should be against in any regard. And I wrote, I hope the High Republic fails miserably. I put that there. Okay. But what did Ireland say, though? The problem is, if you don't like my politics and my beliefs and my moral compass, you aren't going to like my books. So let's just go ahead and save everyone some time. This is not how you sell your new book series,
and
Disney.
See, the problem with what she's saying is, then you shouldn't even be making the damn thing in the first place, because we already know that you go in with that attitude, it's not going to sell. So why even write it and put the money into publishing the damn thing? By that logic, you dumbass. But that's fine. I mean, the silver lining on all of this is it's gonna tank. It's not gonna sell. It's gonna give Disney every excuse to say this stuff that Kathleen Kennedy's side is doing still sucks. We're canceling this too. We're canceling this. Look, everything Kathleen Kennedy puts her hand to fails. Over on the Favreau side, he's got the Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to gold. Everything Kathleen Kennedy touches turns to shit.
Oh, okay.
She's still worried about that heart attack. I think this is good for me. This is the most that my heart gets up.
Okay.
I got to get my cardiovascular health going.
What is Netter doing right now?
She's telling me to calm down. She doesn't want me to have a heart attack.
Okay, keep quiet for a second. I want to play something, all right?
Okay.
Gonna raise up the volume. Hold on. Just give me a minute. Give me 1 second.
Oh, boomer, you and your technology.
What?
Nothing. Go on.
Just keep quiet. We're probably echoey. Just keep quiet. Don't say anything. Okay, well, there you go.
I don't know what I just heard.
Apparently, look back to the drawing board's comment. Okay, fine, good day, mate. Sound effects. The Aussies like to see you next Tuesday.
Actually, I think what you need to find is a sound effect for a cat meowing.
Oh, I might be able to do that. All right, but I anyway. Do you want to do the final story right now, real quick? I don't know. Is Matchstick doing anything? Did we get an answer to that? Anyway, but
Oh yeah,
go ahead and head over to the stream early if you want. You can always catch us later. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because I'll try to take
real quick before we leave the Star Wars thing, I did want to say that one of the writers for the High Republic, this Kevin Scott, did admit to blundering how lightsabers work.
I forgot all about that. I'm sorry.
I was shocked that somebody even admitted to it, because I would assume that they were looking to do some sort of a retcon, but it also demonstrates how their story group with Pablo Hidalgo, who's trying to keep track of all this continuity stuff, is not paying any damn attention. So who gives a crap? But you know, just in case you were still thinking that maybe you'd want to check out the High Republic and see if there was anything in there of interest, just so you know, the quality is they don't even know how lightsabers work.
Well, the point is, if you saw the Phantom Menace, you know how lightsabers work. Because the kid, the character, she, it looks like she's going down a tree, right? And she uses the lightsaber to stop her fall by carving into the tree, but it would just keep slicing, right?
I don't know what to tell you.
Anyway, keep quiet for a second. I'm going to play another sound effect, and this will be real quick. Oh, I was going to play something. Hold on. How come? Oh, here we are. You like that?
Was that a cat sound?
That was supposed to be a cat sound.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, whatever. It's what we're going with. It'll make it easier when I'm editing your "See you next Tuesday" out of the stream.
Exactly.
I thought you were going to say the other word you called her in the email. I was like, well, he's just saving that. He's doing it now, so you don't have to say it on the stream.
I don't even remember what I said.
Anyway, the point is that this is not how you win.
It wasn't until after I said it that I realized what I said. I look.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Okay. Anyway, you lose filters as you get older, right?
I do.
You just turn the big 5-0, right? Oh, sorry, I didn't say.
The more you crank up the emotion, the less filters are going to be. And I warned you of that. I said, look, remember, you have the dump button there. You can dump me at any time. You bring me on. There's always that possibility. And you purposely push my buttons because I think you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
Yeah.
Speaking of pushing buttons, are there any Grease fans of the musical Grease in here, huh?
Tell me more. Tell me more. Gonna cancel that too. I'm telling you.
I'm surprised that hasn't been a Saturday Night Rewatch. It sounds like an obvious one. There
is a, and this is old. This is going back years now. What is it? College Humor or whoever it is. I think that's who it is. College Humor or something like that did a video. It was a parody of the Tell Me More bit. Let's get to the point so that we can then parody it. There's the line in Tell Me More that set up ensemble song in the movie Grease, the play and movie Grease, where tell me more. I don't remember what the line is before it, but then Sonny says, tell me more. Did she put up a fight? And of course, all the people that read about Baby It's Cold Outside are coming out of the woodwork saying, well, that sounds really rapey to me. So that's a problem and it needs to be canceled. And like I said, years ago, College Humor had already done a parody about it where everyone's like, hey, whoa, that's not cool, man. Okay, sorry. And then they start up again and tell me more. And then he says, did you do this and that and knock her out? And man, what is wrong with you, dude? It's like, escalating it. And it's like, look, people, you really need to stop going back to films from the 70s that were set in the 50s and trying to find reasons to be upset about it. Yeah.
I was going to say the reason I love watching movies from the 70s is that they did upset people even during the time. That's what makes them interesting to watch.
The blazing saddles and all that kind of stuff,
Yes. And Grease was mild. Think of all the other movies that came out in the 70s. Taxi Driver.
So, and that particular line, did she put up a fight? The hardest thing to say is that you have one guy who would even think that Danny did something inappropriate, because we know on her side of it, she's saying how sweet and wonderful Danny was. So we have to assume that he didn't do anything that she didn't approve of or have a problem with. We know from the, Some Enchanted Evening opening that it was beautiful and romantic and, pretty mild.
Tell me more.
It might have been in between.
Oh, right. Was it love at first sight? Tell me more. Did she put up a fight? And again, that's meant to be the contrast, right? Between her having this sweet love story that she's sharing and him being all Mr. Bravado on his side. right?
Yeah. Well, it's called art, right?
Yeah. And let's face it, and the audience knows that it's actually it's not quite either.
That's the
It's
whole
it's
point.
just
Yes.
puppy love, and it's unfortunate that they're being pulled apart by these factors. And then you come to the end, and it's like, you know what? They're both willing to give up their identities for the other. She becomes, the greaser, and he becomes the jock, because they both think that's what the other wants. And they both realize we're leaving. They even almost basically say it. Look, we're leaving high school. We're graduating now. You guys are going to be on your own. You're going to have other people that you're going to have to depend on yourselves to figure out where you're going, And as for me, I've made my decision. I want to do what I need to do to get the girl that I want. And if that means getting rid of my leather jacket and putting on a Letterman's jacket, he even went out for track in order to, try to impress her. I mean, but they don't look at that stuff. They get all focused on, oh, it's sexist.
Yeah. Apparently, this was British outrage. They showed this movie on Boxing Day. Okay, that's the day after Christmas over there, right?
Yeah.
And that actually sounds like a good movie to watch after Christmas, maybe, right? I don't know. I mean, it's not
I
really
like the
Christmas.
movie,
It's just a good movie. It's fun. I always found it fun when I was growing up. And they're like, oh, it's not the first time Greece has come under the spotlight for political correctness. In October 2020, the lead actress had to defend the music amid the At Me Too movement claims. Lead actress Olivia Newton-John said, "It's a movie and a fun story, and I've never taken it too seriously."
Yeah. I mean, for crying out loud, Matthew Flynn, I think maybe we should think about talking about this a little bit too. Cause as Aged Boomer points out, this is all coming out of the UK. Matthew Flynn and I are talking about recording a couple of shows in the next week or so. We're going to talk about Doctor Who. We're going to talk about Transformers.
Cool.
Now maybe we'll talk about Grease too. I don't know.
Hey, but Wolf 10, he's over here. He's like, Aged Boomer, I'm interpreting the context as, did she play hard to get? That's how I took it when I saw it as a kid. Like when the guy goes up there and goes, oh, I'm not interested, and it's a hard to get thing. That's how I was took it. And you can interpret
the context of the relationship these guys have. You almost get the impression that they're going, she sounds so good. What did she see in you? She must not have really been interested in you. To the point that by the end of it, the same guy who says, did she put up a fight, is the one who ends up with, can she get me a friend? It's like, hey, did she have a girlfriend that she could set me up with?
They never have friends. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry. Leia plus size, though, it says, oh no, they're telling a different version. Danny is trying to be tough, but we really fell in love with Sally. Yeah, it's a love story.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's basically what I was getting at, Leia plus size. I mean, he goes through that whole thing with Sid Caesar about going out for track, right? It's like, okay, whatever I have to do to try and win Sandy, and the only reason that she's, flirting with the jock, she's not interested in him at all. He's a complete, dingus. She's doing it to make him jealous so that he'll get his head on straight. And it kind of works. So is she sexist for being manipulative? I mean, it's high school. I mean, we look at the fact that we have 30-year-olds playing these high school kids, and we forget they're supposed to be high school kids.
Yes.
And they also said that it's homophobic. What they're referring to is this awesome scene and it's hysterical, where Sonny where Danny and Kanicki get excited about something and they're happy and they jump up and down and they start hooting and then they hug each other and then they back off and they're like, hey, and they start combing their hair and guys, keep in mind, this is supposed to be the 50s. Okay. You don't even know what homophobic is if you don't know homophobia in the 50s.
Even in the 80s compared to, but
yeah, anyone thought that you were gay, there was the possibility you ended up dead.
Yeah.
And if we forget that history, I'm sorry, you got to give up your social justice card. There is no equality for people of different preferences today if we didn't have horrible times like that back then. Okay. We need to deal with that. I mean, that's like trying to make that's like trying to erase the fact that slavery happened. You don't have equality of race today if we didn't get over slavery in the past and talk about it and bring it up from time to time. Talking about homophobia. My gosh.
Yeah, the 50s were very bad. Well, they in some ways, yeah, they were very actually. One thing that always upsets me about the 50s, I was a big fan of those EC horror comics like Tales from the Crypt, and those basically got thrown off the market because of a moral panic about comic books.
Right.
Okay, and we're having moral panics these days. I mean, there was a thing recently about a computer game that that they were trying to get pulled off the Switch. That's the Sense, that game called Sense, a cyberpunk horror story.
Well, I'll tell you,
yeah.
it's not it's not the religious right anymore that's doing it. It's now the social justice left that are being puritanical.
Yeah.
And talk about hypocrisy, because they will point the finger and yell and scream and ree about religious people, and they've created their own religion out of social justice.
Yeah. Or a cult. We'll see.
Yeah. Well,
but
I'm not and I'm not sure exactly what's racist about Greece. I mean, can someone tell me? I don't remember them dropping the N-word anywhere or anything like that.
Maybe because it had an all-white cast for the time. I don't remember. Maybe it did, and I haven't seen it in a while.
Guys, again,
a lot of times when they see this, and then you actually do see plenty
of. It was the 50s. Okay, yeah. You didn't. History doesn't work the way the BBC creates shows now, where we just swap out people and make them diverse.
Yeah, the schools were still segregated back then, weren't they?
Absolutely, they were.
So yeah, I mean, all right. But that we left off on a happy note. I'm kidding. It's just not been a happy week, but next week will be a happy week. I'm predicting. Okay, well, lots of happy news stories to point. Based on my experience? Gut. Based on my gut.
What are you smoking over there? Can you send me some?
Okay, I think everything's going to turn around. I think it's going to be sunshine and rainbows. You mark my word. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Do you want to talk about what's happening this week? I mean, I don't know if we have the usual, right? We got Sound Engraver tomorrow.
Pretty much the usual rundown as far as I know. I don't know if there's anything happening tonight.
I might be doing an interview. Oh yeah, I thought Mr. Masick was doing something tonight, so go check out his channel. Yep. I might be doing a special impromptu interview with the professor this week for his. We haven't set a date yet though, but the interview for the Heroes stream. Yeah, he's doing that with each of us, So I've been meaning to do that with him. Okay, and let's see. Matchstick tonight, maybe.
Monday we got Sound Engraver. Tuesday we got Catholic Bible Geeks book study. There may or may not be something from the Fan Man on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday, of course, Soundtrack with Birdman. You guys are rewatching
E.T. We might have a special guest.
Steven Spielberg.
I don't even want to say who it is because I'm skeptical that she will be showing up, but he says she is, so we're gonna find out. Okay,
Drew Barrymore.
No, but kind of a mini celebrity in her own right. So I'm kind of shocked that she, because I mean, we have a nice little stream. It's starting to gain a little bit, but we're not in the big boys. I mean, even this isn't even in the big boys yet. We're getting, it's growing slowly, but we'll see. Okay, but if she shows up, that'll be really neat. Okay, so that'll be at 8:30 on Wednesday, and
I'll cancel my D&D game if it's D. Wallace.
No, I'll tell you after the stream. Okay, you can find out who it is. You can always listen to the stream.
I can talk to you after the stream. I forgot. I can do that.
And also use if you're busy, like if you're over at Green Lion Girl stream, that's fine. You can always listen to the Soundtrack Bourbon stream later. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah.
While you're folding laundry.
Right, exactly. With Wednesday, that's where we were. So Green Lion Girl, her gaming stream. I think she's still doing Hitman. We said Thursday already. Friday, possibly Fan Man. Saturday brings us back to Big Al, who is doing a rewatch of Beast Man. We're gonna kind of have a bittersweet celebration of Tanya Roberts, who we just lost last week. or 2 weeks ago.
Beastman?
Christmas Eve. Beastmaster. Sorry,
Beastmaster. Okay, yes.
He said something about the professor, which of course gets He-Man in my head, so that's what threw me off. And then that brings us around back to Sunday with another installment of the Age of Boomer show.
Oh, we're back.
And
We're
it's
back to me already, and it'll be Happy News Week. I will find lots and lots of happy news. If not, I will put positive spin. Maybe I just got to give it and go over to the other side, and all the bad news is good, right?
I think you do. I think you really do. Just embrace it.
I'm just going to
the dark side.
embrace the nightmare. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Well, y'all have a good night. You have anything else to say, Troy?
I think I said more than enough.
All right. I'm going to close out, but I'm going to close out with another sound effect. Okay.
Okay.
Wait for it.